Okay, so the next thing that I want you guys to install is this thing called MAMP, which stands for My Apache MySQL PHP. These are all open source software that are normally put together to create a website. Apache is the piece of software that is the web server that serves up the web pages. MySQL is a relational database, which is where we're going to put our data, and then use PHP, which is a scripting language, to go grab that data from the database, create a web page, and then have Apache send it to the browser. Okay, and this can all be done using MAMP locally on your computer. So even though you're going to build something that's basically your own little website, it's not accessible outside your computer. It's just local to your system. And therefore, there's no issues of somebody being able to get in and hack it. Okay, so simply what you do is you download your version of not the mobile tester, but the actual app, and just go for the default one for your particular operating system, and then download it and save. And then for the moment you can either close out of the browser or you can just minimize it. Don't quit, got to wait for it to download. The download is a pretty decent size. It's, as you can see, 330 megs. When it installs, it's about a gigabyte of space. But the good thing is, once you're finished with it, you can just basically delete the whole folder that's going to be in the applications folder or in your directory for applications on the Windows, and then you're going to be able to just delete it. So this is a pretty nice self-contained way for you guys to be able to see how websites are built and how scripting languages can allow you to get access to data in a database and create a page based off of that. And the reason for going over this kind of stuff is so that kind of like you get to see the whole cycle here. And we started doing a lot of searching, and that was good because obviously it exposed you to the resources that are out there, or some of them anyway, for being able to get chemical data. But one question is, well, how does that data actually get there? And of course, this is done by some kind of manual operation, because somehow that data has to get into a database to then be able to be made available via a website for you guys to be able to find and then download. So this is, as you can tell, the other side of it. This is kind of like the back end. Okay, so that's finished downloading. So you go find in your downloads folder where that was put, and you launch it. You go through a number of dialog boxes here. Agree. This is free software, and it will never expire. And now when you get to this screen and you're about to install and it says customize, I would click on customize, and just simply because it installs this MAMP Pro, which is a paid version, and we don't need that. So we're just going to remove that and then go through the install process. And that's what you might expect. It's less than a gigabyte, but it's still a decently sized install because of the number of different programs that are being installed here. As far as I know, there are no issues with viruses in downloading this, but if you have anything strange happen while you're doing the download and the install, just send me an email and I'll help you troubleshoot what's going on. Okay, so once installed, on the Mac, it's in the applications folder. Here it is. It's called MAMP. And on PC, it will just be in your programs folder. And you go into that folder and then start up the application, which is called MAMP. So this is just a little application that was written to be able to coordinate the process of installing and then configuring and using all of this software. And what you see is there are these two little indicators at the top right, one saying Apache server and one saying MySQL server, and they currently have empty boxes right there. what you need to do in order to get them to run is you need to start them. And there are servers, which means they respond to requests through a web browser. Okay, so you don't have to worry about changing any preferences. Just very simply click on Start Servers, and it will take a few seconds to start up Apache and then start up MySQL. Again, if that doesn't seem to happen, then send me an email. Okay, it's worked, and it's brought up a web page, and the web page is actually a web page that is local to your computer. You know this because the URL of the web page starts with this thing called localhost. Okay, so this is local to your computer, and so anything and everything we're going to do here is local. So you have another option, another number of options. You can click on this, and it will take you just to the root of the web server, and there it is. What this is designed to do is just show you an index of the files that happen to be installed currently, or folders that happen to be installed currently in the directory where all the web pages are held. I can show you where that is. In the MAMP folder, there's this thing called the htdocs folder. That stands for Hypertext Documents folder. So right now there's nothing in it. I'm going to have you download, and then you can just do this drag and drop a file to make sure that we get a test of the web server interacting with the database properly. But let's quickly show you the database. Another thing you can go look at is something called phpMyAdmin. What that means is it's an application that's been built with the PHP scripting language to create a web interface to MySQL databases that you happen to have running on a MySQL server. So now that we've installed MAMP and we have MySQL up and running, it is ready to be able to serve up any databases or information about databases that exist. So if we click on phpMyAdmin, we get an interface that looks like this. We have the different currently installed databases, and these are default databases for MySQL, so you don't ever need to touch these. So basically there's no databases currently installed for doing anything that we might want to do. This is all just the default stuff that exists. But this is an interface where you can do a whole bunch of things. You can create databases, you can create tables in databases, you can create new users, and so on and so on and so on. And we'll get into some of this as we go through this part. Okay, so go out back to where your htdocs folder is, and then this little script file is just going to run a PHP script when we access that file. So if I go back, now that I've dragged it into the htdocs folder, I can go back to, here it is, my index page, and I still don't see anything, but that's because I accessed this before that file was in there, so I need to refresh the page, and now it shows me that this file is there. And if I click on it, it says, oh no, there's no database, or the access is denied because there's no user. Okay, so this is good. This tells us that we've forgotten to do something. But it shows that the web server is working because this is a test comes up, which is part of the script. Okay, now you can launch this file in any text editor, so go ahead and do that. And what you see is I have it set up. Don't worry about the stuff down here for now, but I have it set up with a set of configuration parameters here. And what you can see is I have a user called user, and the password for that user is called pass. What a surprise. So what I can do to make sure I set that up so that this can get access from that page to the database is I need to go into my interface for MySQL and click on User Accounts. Once I've done that, I go and add a new user. These are the currently existing users, but we need to add a new one. Okay, here's the page for that. So we type in user, we click on local, and then we put the password in, which is pass, for both fields. And we scroll all the way to the bottom right, and we click go. And now that has created a user called user. If I click this again, you'll now see right here is user, and it doesn't have any privileges yet. So it'll be interesting to see if this can, if we can get access to it. So we refresh the page again, and it says, oh no, hold on a moment, access is denied to the user to database CIS. And the reason that that is the case is because one, CIS as a database hasn't been set up, and two, that user has not been authenticated to work with that database. So let's go and set up the database. This is just the bare bones. So we need to call it CIS. If we scroll down on collation, this is to do with how it likes to interpret the characters. So remember we talked about Unicode. So this is UTF-8, Unicode, and CI stands for case insensitive. Create. Now we have a database called CIS. If we go back to the home icon, and we go back up to user accounts, and we click on edit privileges for the user, here we have a whole set of options that we can do, but this is for everything. This is for like global administration. We don't want this, we want database. So click on database, and you see that there are two databases listed, the one that we just created and then the MySQL one. So click on CIS, and finally check all. So we want to be able to do all things with this database, and click Go. Now we have an authenticated user that can access the CIS database. And if we go back to our test file and we refresh it, now it says success. So we've now correctly linked the script that was in this file to the MySQL database called CIS. And that means if we run other commands through PHP scripts, we can then go actually and dig out data from that database if it contains it. But that's for a future webcast.